اوكي، صباح الخير مرة ثانية، كيف حالكم؟ Okay, let's start talking about the proposal you have to submit inshallah after 3 weeks from now. Now your proposals must include 5 sections, which are the abstract, the introduction, literature review, methodology, and the references. Now the abstract is the first part that should appear in your proposal, but it is the last section to be written. Don't worry about the picture. Okay, now this is clear. Now the abstract is the last section to be written. It should be a summary of your work. It must include about 150 to 250 words. ملاحظة، إذا كان الابستراكت عندكم أقل من 150 كلمة رايحين تخسر جزء من العلامة. Now the abstract should include the following points. It should include the purpose of your proposal, why you did this, and you have to tell me how. You have to talk about the method. It includes 2 things: data source, which is COCA, and you have to tell me about how you analyzed your data. And by the way, I told you before that we used 2 types of frequencies. We have raw frequency and normalized frequency. You can add more information about this if you want in the methodology section. And you have to tell me about the primary results you reached. Now in the slides I sent to you, it was mentioned that there are 3 types of the abstract. You have to choose one of these types to use. If I were you, I will use the second one, which is the descriptive abstract. It is simple and easy. It is simply a description of what a proposal is about. And be careful, if you want to use the other types, you have to follow their criteria, such as, now the critical abstract must provide 2 things: a description and some judgment about the validity of the research. Does it work? Are the results real or not? Now about the informative abstract, it must include a description and results or conclusions or recommendations of the author. So it's up to you to use anyone, but if I were you, I will choose the second or the third type. Now you can use the active voice, you can use the passive when it is needed, and please use the past tense. Don't mix tenses in this section. Now for the introduction, it must include the definition of the topic, the purpose, method used in a brief, significance, and the questions. And by the way, I talked about this before. If you have any question, please contact me. Now for the literature review, this is important. Now literature review is a summary of the key sources. So now in the abstract you summarized what you did. In the literature review you have to summarize what others did. Sorry. Now we have different types. We have the argumentative, we have the integrative, historical, methodological, and theoretical. Now you have to choose a type to use, but if I were you, I would choose one of these 2. You can talk about the theoretical literature review or the integrative. Now in the integrative, you have to summarize what others said about your topic, and you have to tell me how they defined this concept or this term. For example, the stative verbs used in the progressive aspect, or what are stative verbs. You have to tell me when we can use stative verbs in the progressive aspect. You have to add also a summary of their methodology they followed. How did they do that? Did they, for example, use a questionnaire, corpus data, for example, some exams? So it's up to them. يعني it depends on the methodology they used. طيب. Another thing about the literature review is that you have to use the chronological organization or method. That means you start with the most recent works and you go back. يعني حاولوا انكم تكتبوا لي بالترتيب التاريخي، يعني كل مكان بلشي من الأحدث إلى الأقدم. So in simple words. You have to talk about what others did and how they did that and what are their results. يعني at least try to choose 5 studies and try to summarize them in your literature review. Now for the methodology part or section. You have to start with defining what is corpus linguistics. Then tell me that this research or this proposal is a corpus-based study. You have to mention that it is a quantitative research. Try to define what is quantitative. Tell me more about COCA. And tell me about the frequencies used in your data analysis. And I think I mentioned most of these points. If you have more questions, you can search more on the web. About the references, this is really important. Please go back to the video I sent to you. Try to understand. It is simple and easy, and you have to understand that we arrange references alphabetically. يعني بدكم تتابعوا إنه بنرتبها ترتيب هجائي A, B, C, D and so on. Okay, that's it I think.